The Amazing Story of Rye, documentary. Imagine a grain that has survived freezing winters, harsh winds, and poor soils for thousands of years. A crop so resilient that it became the backbone of survival for millions of people across northern and eastern Europe. While wheat often takes the spotlight, another remarkable grain has quietly shaped civilizations, fed generations, and adapted to some of the world's toughest climates. This is the story of rye. From ancient fields to modern bakeries, rye has traveled an incredible journey through history. But where did it come from? Why is it different from wheat? And how does this hardy grain become the nutritious bread enjoyed by millions today? Today, we uncover the fascinating story of one of the world's most resilient cereal crops. Welcome to the amazing story of rye. Chapter 1: The Ancient Origin of Rye. The history of rye stretches back more than 5,000 years. Scientists believe rye first appeared as a wild grass in regions around southwestern Asia and later spread naturally into Europe alongside wheat and barley. At first, farmers considered rye little more than a wild weed growing among other cereal crops. But over time, they noticed something remarkable. Unlike many grains, rye thrived in cold weather, poor soils, and harsh growing conditions where other crops often failed. Recognizing its strength, ancient farmers began cultivating rye intentionally. It soon became an essential food source across Central, Northern, and Eastern Europe. For centuries, rye helped entire communities survive long winters and difficult farming seasons. Chapter 2: Why Rye is so important. Rye is more than just another grain. It is one of the most resilient cereal crops on Earth. Its deep root system allows it to absorb nutrients from poor soils while helping prevent soil erosion. Because rye requires fewer resources than many other grains, it has become an important crop for sustainable agriculture. Today, rye is used to produce rye bread, crisp bread, breakfast cereals, flour, animal feed, traditional beverages, whiskey in some regions. It is also valued as a cover crop because it protects farmland during winter and improves soil health for future harvests. Chapter 3: A grain that endured centuries. For thousands of years, rye has been closely connected with human survival. In medieval Europe, dark rye bread became the daily food of farmers and workers. During difficult times of war, famine, and harsh winters, rye often continued growing when other crops failed. Its ability to produce reliable harvests under challenging conditions earned it a reputation as one of agriculture's toughest and most dependable grains. Today, although wheat dominates global production, rye remains an important crop in countries such as Germany, Poland, Russia, Belarus, Denmark, Sweden, Finland, and Canada. Its story continues to inspire farmers around the world. The history of rye is extraordinary. But how does a tiny rye seed survive freezing temperatures and grow into one of the world's hardiest cereal crops? Every field of rye begins with a single seed. Before planting, farmers prepare the land by plowing the soil and creating a smooth seedbed. Unlike many cereal crops, rye can grow successfully in sandy, rocky, and nutrient-poor soils where other grains may struggle. Most rye is planted in the autumn as winter rye. This gives the young plants enough time to establish strong roots before the cold season arrives. As temperatures begin to fall, tiny green shoots emerge from the soil. While many plants would stop growing or die during freezing weather, rye continues to survive beneath snow and frost. This remarkable ability makes rye one of the most cold-tolerant cereal crops in the world. Chapter 5: Growing through the seasons. When spring arrives, the rye plants quickly begin growing again. Their deep root systems absorb water and nutrients from the soil, allowing them to grow taller and stronger each day. Farmers carefully monitor the crop throughout the growing season. They check for weeds, pests, and plant diseases while ensuring the fields receive the right balance of moisture and nutrients. As the weeks pass, long green stems stretch toward the sky, and slender seed heads begin to appear at the top of each plant. Inside these heads, hundreds of tiny rye grains slowly develop. With warm sunshine, fresh air, and time, the fields gradually transform into a beautiful sea of golden rye waving gently in the wind. Chapter 6: Ready for Harvest. After several months of growth, the rye plants reach full maturity. The green fields slowly turn golden brown, signaling that harvest season has arrived. Farmers carefully choose the right time to harvest. If the grain is collected too early, it may contain too much moisture. If harvested too late, wind, rain, or birds can reduce both the quality and quantity of the crop. Today, modern combine harvesters efficiently cut the rye, separate the grains from the stalks, and collect them in large storage tanks, all in a single operation. What once took entire communities days or even weeks can now be completed in just a few hours. From a tiny seed planted before winter to golden fields ready for harvest, the life cycle of rye is truly remarkable. But the journey doesn't end in the field. What happens after the harvest? How are rye grains cleaned, milled into flour, and transformed into nutritious bread, cereals, and other everyday foods? In Rye, we'll follow rye from the farm to the factory and discover its incredible journey from harvest to your table. Chapter 7: Harvesting the Golden Grain. After months of careful growth, the rye fields have finally turned into a sea of golden waves. This is the moment every farmer has been waiting for: the harvest. For centuries, rye was harvested by hand using sickles and scythes. Entire families worked together, cutting the tall stalks, tying them into bundles, and leaving them in the fields to dry naturally under the sun. It was physically demanding work, but it ensured that every grain was carefully collected. Today, modern agriculture has transformed this process. Powerful combine harvesters move through the fields, cutting the rye, separating the grains from the stalks, cleaning them, and storing them in large grain tanks, all in one continuous operation. Within hours, thousands of kilograms of rye are harvested, making the process faster, safer, and far more efficient than ever before. Chapter 8: From Grain to Flour. Freshly harvested rye is only the beginning of another remarkable journey. The grain is transported to large storage silos, where it is cleaned using advanced machinery. Dust, stones, straw, and damaged grains are removed to ensure only the highest quality rye continues to the next stage. The cleaned rye is then delivered to modern flour mills. Inside the mill, powerful steel rollers carefully grind the rye into fine flour while preserving many of its natural nutrients. Unlike wheat flour, rye flour has a darker color and a distinctive earthy flavor, giving rye bread its famous rich taste and dense texture. Quality control specialists inspect every batch to ensure it meets strict food safety standards before it is packaged and shipped. Chapter 9: From Flour to the Table. Once the rye flour leaves the mill, it begins its final journey. It is delivered to bakeries, food manufacturers, restaurants, and homes around the world. Experienced bakers transform the flour into delicious rye bread, crisp bread, crackers, breakfast cereals, and other traditional foods. In countries such as Germany, Finland, Sweden, Poland, and Russia, rye bread has been a staple food for centuries and remains an important part of daily life. Today, rye is also used to produce specialty baked goods, whole grain products, and even certain traditional beverages. Every loaf of rye bread represents months of hard work, from planting a tiny seed to harvesting, milling, baking, and finally reaching your table. Amazing facts about rye. Rye is one of the most cold-tolerant cereal grains in the world. Its deep root system helps prevent soil erosion and improves soil health. Rye flour naturally contains more fiber than many refined grain flours. Rye has been an important food crop in Europe for thousands of years. The journey from a single rye seed to freshly baked bread is truly extraordinary. But rye offers much more than great taste. What makes rye one of the healthiest grains? What are its different varieties? And why is it becoming increasingly important in modern sustainable agriculture? In Part 4, we'll explore the health benefits, different types of rye, its global importance, and some surprising facts that make this remarkable grain truly unique. Chapter 10: The Health Benefits of Rye. Rye is often considered one of the healthiest cereal grains in the world. It is naturally rich in dietary fiber, which supports healthy digestion and helps people feel full for longer. This makes rye a popular ingredient for balanced diets. Rye also provides important nutrients, including magnesium, phosphorus, iron, zinc, manganese, selenium, and B vitamins. These nutrients help support normal body functions and contribute to overall health. Because rye is commonly eaten as a whole grain, it retains more of its natural nutrients than many highly refined grain products. Today, nutrition experts often recommend whole grain rye as part of a healthy, balanced eating pattern. Chapter 11: Different Types of Rye. Although rye is not as diverse as wheat, there are still several important types grown around the world. The most common is winter rye, which is planted in autumn and survives freezing temperatures before continuing its growth in spring. It is the most widely cultivated type because of its excellent cold resistance and high yields. Another variety is spring rye, which is planted after winter in regions with shorter growing seasons. Although less common, it is well suited to certain climates. Rye is also grown for different purposes. Some varieties are used mainly for bread and flour, while others are grown as livestock feed or as cover crops to improve soil quality and reduce erosion. Each variety serves a unique role in agriculture and food production. Chapter 12: Rye Around the World. Today, rye is cultivated in many parts of the world, especially in cooler climates. Countries such as Germany, Poland, Russia, Belarus, Finland, Sweden, Denmark, Canada, and the United States produce significant amounts of rye every year. In Northern and Eastern Europe, rye bread has been a traditional food for centuries. Dense, flavorful, and highly nutritious, it remains a staple in many households. Beyond food, rye is also valued by farmers because it protects farmland during winter, reduces weed growth, and improves soil fertility for future crops. As interest in sustainable agriculture continues to grow, rye is becoming increasingly important around the world. Amazing facts about rye. Rye can survive temperatures well below freezing, making it one of the hardiest cereal crops. It develops deep roots that help improve soil structure and reduce erosion. Rye has been cultivated for more than 5,000 years. It is widely used in bread, cereals, crisp bread, animal feed, and as a cover crop in sustainable farming. For thousands of years, rye has helped people survive harsh climates and provided nutritious food for countless generations. But what does the future hold for this remarkable grain? Can new technology make rye farming even more efficient? And how will farmers overcome the challenges of climate change? In Part 5, we'll explore the future of rye, modern farming innovations, global challenges, and the inspiring conclusion to the amazing story of one of the world's toughest grains. Chapter 13: The Future of Rye. As the world's population continues to grow, the need for sustainable and climate-resilient crops is becoming more important than ever. Rye is expected to play a bigger role in the future because it can grow in poor soils, survive cold winters, and require fewer farming inputs than many other cereal crops. Modern agriculture is transforming rye farming through advanced technology. Farmers now use GPS-guided tractors, agricultural drones, satellite monitoring, soil sensors, and artificial intelligence, AI, to monitor crop health, improve yields, and reduce waste. Scientists are also developing improved rye varieties that are more resistant to diseases, pests, and changing weather conditions. These innovations will help ensure that rye remains a reliable food source for future generations. Chapter 14: Challenges Facing Rye Farmers. Despite its strength, rye farming still faces many challenges. Climate change is causing more frequent droughts, unexpected rainfall, and extreme weather events that can affect crop production. Farmers must also deal with plant diseases, insect pests, rising production costs, and changing market demands. In some regions, Urban development is reducing farmland, while labor shortages make farming more difficult. Even so, millions of farmers continue to cultivate rye with dedication, helping provide nutritious food while protecting the environment through sustainable farming practices. Their hard work keeps this ancient grain alive in the modern world. Chapter 15: A grain that stood the test of time. From wild grass growing thousands of years ago to one of the world's most resilient cereal crops, rye has traveled an extraordinary journey. It has survived harsh winters, nourished civilizations, strengthened farming communities, and become an important symbol of resilience and sustainability. Every loaf of rye bread, every bowl of cereal, and every field of waving golden rye tells a story of patience, innovation, and human determination. Behind every harvest are hardworking farmers, fertile soil, and centuries of agricultural knowledge passed from one generation to the next. The next time you enjoy rye bread or another rye-based food, remember the incredible journey that made it possible, from a tiny seed planted in the soil to the food on your table. Closing narration. Rye is more than just a grain. It is a symbol of endurance, hope, and the remarkable relationship between people and nature. Its story reminds us that even the toughest environments can produce something truly valuable. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through the amazing story of rye. If you enjoyed this documentary and learned something new, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more fascinating documentaries about food, farming, history, science, nature, and the world around us. Until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and thank you for watching. The end.